tip won by Houston. Rafer Alston is the point guard, and he's coming off a very impressive victory on the road against Cleveland. And a whistle and a foul away from the ball. And Mark Blunt, the center for the Heat, committing the first foul of the game.
I think you mentioned Rafer Alston. We talk about Yao, we talk about Tracy McGrady, Skoll, the new addition, but the key really may be this guy, Rafer Alston. When he shoots it well, this team wins basketball games.
Tried to feed it to Yao Ming, and it's defended well. And Jason Williams, Blunt actually got a piece of the ball. Pass inside to Wade, and the reverse layup attempt not made. And with Scola in his face, the shot is missed by Blunt. And here is Alston with a runner. Misses the rim. Rockets get back defensively. That's the name of their game. Wade missing from the top of the key. Houston Rockets have won 9 in a row, tying a franchise high. In fact, they have been successful in 18 of their last 21 games. Here's Scola, who lays it in.
Well, that's the difference what Scola does versus Chuck Hayes. Scola is much better around the rim. He can finish, and then when Yao is doubled, he can take it out to 15, 16 feet for a wide-open jump shot.
Former San Antonio Spur, and Blunt with the follow ties the game.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Hayes was a terrific defensive and offensive rebounder, a very, very good defender, but offensively, he just didn't give him anything. Scola puts points on the board.
McGrady defended well, and the basket will count. And Darrell Wright on the elbow. Very tough shot made by Tracy McGrady, and a chance for the three-point play.
And this is what Coach Alleman has been trying to do in his new system. Is trying to get quick hitters for Tracy McGrady coming off the down screen right there. You've got to be able to stay down on Tracy McGrady's pump fakes right there. Wright goes up for it and gets fouled.
You know, when we had a chance to talk to Rick Adelman, he was so complimentary to what Jeff Van Gundy and his staff had done here, had accomplished here, the defensive system they put in, and he, you know, there was nothing, he was not hesitant to give a lot of the credit to what's going on to Jeff and his staff, and then he's obviously added his touch to it.
And tweaking the offense, and a lot more flexible is this Houston offense. Wade with no shot there, 5 on the shot clock, and Dwayne Wade driving in and makes the basket. Dwayne Wade with his first points of the game. And Dwayne Wade has not been healthy. Missed the first part of the season. Myriad of injuries as McGrady hits another one. 5 points for McGrady, and the Rockets up by 3.
And that's part of the tweaking right there. You remember last year as Blount goes in, misses the layup. Quick hitters for Tracy McGrady, taking the pick and roll out of his game.
Pretty play by Rafer Alston, coming off a 22-point game against Cleveland, 6 of 10 from three-point range.
Part of what Rick Adelman has tried to do is add the extra piece of the running game. See if we can get a few more easy ones along the way.
Wade short on the screen fall away. Now McGrady handles. 5-point lead for the Rockets early on. McGrady feeling it, hits another one, and 7 points on 3 for 3 shooting.
Well, offensively, he's really been struggling since he's come back from that knee injury. He's really starting to find his rhythm offensively. 3 wide open shots for easy buckets for T-Mac.
And they call a 20-second timeout, does Pat Riley. So Tracy McGrady, who was 6 for 21 in the first game after the All-Star game against Cleveland, finding the mark early here.
And I think what we see is part of what Rick Adelman was mentioning. We have to establish a home court advantage. And talking to his team about it, making them understand there are games at home that we're supposed to win. So what if people are saying, well, your recent streak, you played some easier teams. Yeah, we're supposed to win those games, and we've won them. That's what they're trying to establish tonight.
And that's why this game is important against the lowly Heat, because they have a chance to make it 5 in a row at home and establish something against a Heat team that they think is really buoyed by the fact that they have Marion and a different style.
Well, Pat Riley and the Heat team really don't have a lot to play for, so they're coming out here free-willed, loosey-goosey, not a lot of pressure on them. You talk with Coach Alleman, this is the type of team and a type of game that scares them because they don't have a lot to lose. We got a 9-game winning streak. Every game counts for us.
Think about winning 9 out of 10, Reggie. 18 out of 21. And you're just about in the playoffs.
Have to win 50 games maybe to make the playoffs. Here is Wade, and Wade still with the ball with 7 seconds on the shot clock. banks it in. 4 points for Wade, and the Rockets up by 5. A little more than 3 minutes gone by in the opening quarter. Yao hits the jump shot. Coming into the game, 11th in scoring in the league. And coming off his 6th All-Star game, and admitted he was a bit tired after his experience in New Orleans, was 3 for 17 Tuesday night against the Cavaliers.
Well, he was shooting all threes in the All-Star game, so I don't know where he was tired from. Me and Coach Collins was wondering why he kept shooting so many threes, like he was Dirk Nowitzki.
Blunt answers with a layup down low. And the ball knocked away. And Alston hitting a 3. Rafer Alston hitting a 3. And he has 5 points already and 3 assists in the first 4 minutes of the game.
And that's one of the reasons why Houston did the deal they did today, and Jason Williams finishes off the layup. Bringing Bobby Jackson in here behind Alston will give them another 3-point shooter to spread that defense out. And you could play them both together if you weren't worried too much about the size with both guards.
Turnaround by Yao. So Yao finding the range from outside. 11 points between McGrady and Yao, and an 8-point lead.
Dwayne Wade with a nice lay-in right there. You got to get back on the offensive end. When Yao Ming or anyone scores for the Rockets, you got to get back on the defensive end.
And the lob attempt from Rafer Alston to Tracy McGrady doesn't go. Here's Wade. Long rebound and taken away from Alston by Scola. 6-point lead by the Rockets. Going inside Yao Ming.
One of the things that Rick Adelman tried to do was incorporate part of that old Sacramento offense they used. Sean Marion tees up a 3, and there you see it from downtown. But early in the year, he found out after about 25 games, this team wasn't suited for that offense. So what he did is made a few adjustments, went back to some of the things that they were doing under Jeff Van Gundy, the Rockets of a year ago, and obviously the streak now speaks for itself.
On the turnover, Jason Williams from the corner. And the rebound by Yao, releasing his Rafer Alston. Wright is right with him, and Alston won't challenge him. And here is Battier with the drive, and the charge. The blocking foul is called inside, and it will be against Blunt, his 2nd foul.
Battier doing a good job of trailing on the break. I thought Wright did an initial job of stopping Alston on the break. Battier doing a good job following down the middle. Gets the foul, goes to the free throw line.
What I liked was the outlet pass. That's one of the few outlet passes we've seen to half court this season, where a big man defensive rebounds and fires it to the half court line to start the break.
How valuable has Battier been to this team? I know you coached him in Memphis.
This is a guy that you just can't say enough good things about. He's a little bit of everything, but what he's all about is winning. It doesn't matter how many points he scores, how many shots he takes. Every night, tonight the assignment is Dwayne Wade. Each night he's playing the other team's best offensive perimeter player, does all the subtle things. Extra pass, takes a charge, makes the big foul shot. Terrific.
Mark Blunt going out of the game, the ball kicked away, and it'll go over to Houston. Earl Barron, who has made 4 starts this year, and undrafted performer in his 3rd year, has taken over at center for the Heat.
I think I've heard people talk about Battier and talk about his athleticism versus other guys in this league, and that, he was nowhere near as athletic. So what? This guy wins. I've seen a lot of great athletes that know how to do one thing. They lose a lot. This guy wins a lot.
And McGrady trying to get it on the pick and roll to Yao. Pass a little bit too hard, and out of bounds it goes, and we'll have a timeout. The Rockets leading all the way. Sideline report, here's Craig Sager.
Pat Riley has set a standard for success, and his principles for team players have been adapted by many of the Fortune 500 companies. But after losing 24 of his last 25, I asked Coach Riley today where he turns for motivation. And he quoted a passage from the book The Winner Within, which he wrote 15 years ago. In every contest, there comes a moment that defines winning from losing. The true warrior understands and seizes that moment by giving an effort so intensive and so intuitive that it can only be called one from the heart. Coach Riley says he's looking for few performances from the Heart. Dick?
All right, Craig, as Wright misses inside in a foul, and of course, talking to him before the game, guys, Pat said that he had a kind of a buoyant feeling. He says he thinks the worst is over. They really went through a rough patch. He says we practice and compete hard and we enjoy each other's company, and that's what we're hanging on for the rest of the way.
Well, he enjoys the spirit now that he sees in the team. They understand what their record is. These players are very intelligent. They know their job. They know where they are in the standings. They know what lies ahead in the next 31 games. So his job as the leader is to provide them, the information, the knowledge, have them prepared, and then show them that down the road, this is what we're trying to get to. We're starting the building process now with that.
Sean Marion misses the free throws, and Pat Riley, who was named a finalist during the All-Star break for the Hall of Fame last week, 24-year career. This will only be his third losing season. And the turnover by the Rockets gives the ball back to Miami.
Well, and they finally have players that are healthy enough to practice. That's been another knock on this Miami Heat team, even when Shaq was there. They didn't have enough practice players, so that takes away from the teaching time of someone like a Pat Riley.
Wade in the lane, going up, making contact. And the foul called against Yao Ming. That'll be his first, and Wade will go to the line.
Well, this is one thing, Dwayne Wade, and because of the injuries, he really hasn't shown a lot lately, is that ability to slice and get into the lane and create contact. We talked with Pat before the game, talking about he's going to keep an eye on Dwayne Wade. Obviously, they're 9-42. They're headed for the lottery, maybe the #1 pick. How much minutes and how much time, because of the injuries to Dwayne Wade, is he going to play him? So it's just a wait-and-see situation.
Well, he said with Dwayne Wade, either he feels great or he is hobbling. And the one thing that he knows is that the team is committed to really get better as fast as they can, and that's keeping him going a little bit.
And they start with two all-star pieces in Sean Marion and Dwayne Wade, but you have to have a healthy Dwayne Wade as McGrady hits the 20-footer from the baseline. You have to have a Dwayne Wade that's at 100%, and it may not be during this season that you see that. It may start with next season.
4 for 5 shooting for McGrady, who has 9 points. And a 7-point lead. Here's Darrell Wright from the perimeter. Marion keeps it alive. 4.5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Wade, no good on the three, and Yao snares the rebound.
Right now, Dwayne has led that team back. Laces up a 3.
Scola with a follow. Luis Scola, his second field goal, and what an acquisition the Rockets made when they acquired his rights from the San Antonio Spurs.
It's a guy who provides energy, enthusiasm. He's relentless in chasing down the ball. He can make an open shot, and he's a 27-year-old rookie.
And the blocking foul inside. Scola playing the last 9 years in Spain.
Watch Battier's hand go right through the shot, right up into the vision of Dwayne Wade. His defensive responsibility, try and distort the shot. That's what he did without any contact, no foul on the jumper, and a miss.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Dwayne Wade is letting Shane Battier off the hook by just settling for outside shots. He's got to put pressure on him, take the ball off the dribble.
But you know who discourages that a little bit is this 7'6" guy back there who's kind of waiting back there. He bothers you a little bit, Red.
Two on the shot clock. Wade with a crossover, and he connects as the shot clock buzzer goes off. So 10 points for Dwayne Wade, off to a great start. And Houston is up 26-19.
Have to make defenders move side to side.
Yao makes it a baseline drive by Tracy McGrady. And as Rick Adelman said, he says, we think we can compete with anyone in the playoffs because of our strong defense and Yao and McGrady. Few teams can match up that way.
He qualified that, if I remember correctly. He said, first we've got to make it.
Right.
But if we get there, he said, then we can play with anyone. You have to agree with that.
Absolutely. 6 on the shot clock. And Barron driving in loses it off his foot. And the Rockets, with 3:04 to go, have the ball and trying to establish the first double-digit lead of the game.
Well, Jay Will, that's a little bit different when you make that turn and you're throwing it to Shaq or Alonzo Mourning. You look, it's Earl Barron trying to catch that pass down the lane, Coach.
And Earl was anticipating that Yao might be there.
McGrady, nowhere to go with it. Good ball movement. That's been part of the success lately for the Rockets. And McGrady hits. And McGrady now with 11 points. How about 13 of 16 shooting for Houston here in this first quarter?
How many times do you see a 4 or 5 pass basket, Reggie, in half court from an NBA team?
And a timeout called by Miami and an 11-point lead for Houston.
Well, we haven't seen this often this year. Dwayne Wade getting into the teeth of the defense for the little teardrop. And then Tracy McGrady playing outstanding in this first quarter. 11 points, 5 of 7 shooting. He's getting that lift back in his legs.
Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming feeling it early. And as Reggie mentioned, Tracy's legs getting stronger. He's feeling better. Give him a little screen. Give him a look. Elevates. 5 for 7 from the floor. 11 points. And then Yao, a couple different looks. First pass, no. Shoot. No dribble at all. Second time, put it down on the floor. A little fake to the baseline. And the fadeaway. Yao, 4 for 4. 8 points to start the game. The 2 stars, 9 for 11 for Houston.
Ricky Davis has checked into the lineup for the Miami Heat. Right now, the Rockets playing a zone, and the shot hit by Ricky Davis, so comes into the game and will give you some of that offense right away and cuts the lead to 9.
Well, you talked about Pat Riley and a sigh of relief when the draft was over. How about Jason Williams and Ricky Davis? Both of those players expiring contracts. A lot of conversation. Their names coming up, maybe impossible sign-in trades. They had to have a sigh of relief as well.
Scola drives in and hits Scola with the lay-in, has 6 points.
Well, Reg, you just touched on something very important, because for Miami, Posey and Capono, 2 players, as Jay Will misses his pull-up, 2 players that Miami did not sign, 2 very important pieces that are playing elsewhere. Well, that'll come up again now with Davis and Williams. They've got to make a decision. Do we want them back? How much are we willing to pay for them?
Alston hitting a 3, so that is the second from downtown for Rafer Alston. Continues the hot hand. Remember, 6 of 10 in Tuesday night's road win in Cleveland. And a 14-point bulge now by the Rockets with 1:15 to go in the first.
Going back to my point I'm making about the free agency and decisions you have to make, can you afford, as Jay Will hits his downtown 3, can you afford to have 4 players walk out of your program over a 2-year period and get nothing back in return? That's a very difficult thing to do. 4 guys who will contribute.
Scola left open and missing out of bounds, and the Heat will take over with just under a minute remaining in the opening quarter.
Well, Rafer Alston coming off the high pick and roll. You go underneath, he's going to step back and spot up for the wide open 3, and Jason Williams drive and kick right there. Dwayne Wade gets in, a little bit too much help. Jason Williams wide open jump shot.
And now a newcomer, Chris Quinn, in his second year, undrafted out of Notre Dame, who's been very reliable, starting 10 games this year, is into the lineup. So all of the changes have been made by Pat Riley. Sean Marion can't connect, and Yao gets it into the hands of Battier. Here's Alston pushing it. Half a minute remaining in the opening quarter. Here's McGrady for 3. McGrady now with 14 points. And the third 3-pointer for the game for the Rockets.
Reggie, I've never been in this situation, but what's it like when you come down and the basket looks as big as the arena, and you just know you got it going? I mean, you got to tell us about that.
Reg?
Well, I'm just saying, hey, he's gotten his legs back.
Marion. 6 of 8 by Tracy McGrady, and Marion now with 5 points, and another 3. And a 3-point missed by Davis, so Rafer Alston hitting 3 threes in the first quarter. Tracy McGrady have a brilliant shooting game as well. And a 41-26 big first quarter. And that's a season's high for the Rockets this year for a quarter. What a start for Houston, trying to make it 10 in a row. That would be a franchise record.
Into their airspace, make them feel our presence a little bit more, but we're taking bad shots. And when you take bad shots, it's going to go back the other way.
Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming are 10 out of 12. Which one is hurting you the most?
Well, you got to pick your poison there, so we're trying to make an adjustment now, and I hope it works.
All right, as we start the second quarter, the Heat have the ball. McGrady with 14. Rafer Alston 11 and Yao Ming with 8. A season high, 41 points in the first quarter for Houston.
Well, you could throw Rafer Alston's name in there as well. 4 of 5 as he comes up with the steal right there, 11 points.
And the extra pass made as Luther Head, who just came back from injury Tuesday night, still retained by the Rockets. Shot clock down to 11. McGrady with a double team, deflection, 3 on the shot clock. Luther Head missing the 3. And the rebound taken down by Earl Barron. Quinn with the miss from outside.
Luther Head, one of the adjustments that Rick Adelman made with his team. Mike James was getting the early call early in the season. James was struggling, had a very, very good training camp, and just couldn't make a shot. Luther Head came in, had the opportunity, started making shots.
And Luther Head hitting a 3. So Luther Head, who's the all-time three-point shooting leader at Illinois, saw his first action, was out with a groin strain, came back against Cleveland. And a Houston foul here.
I'm going to tell you this. Looking at Dwayne Wade out here, and I'm going to take this line from Charles Barkley. This is Michael Jackson out here with a bunch of Tito Jacksons right now, because he has no one around him when Shawn Marion goes to the bench. There's absolutely no one around him. And all the pressure is on him. All the eyes are on him.
And that's why Dick mentioned earlier about Pat Riley's got to make a decision somewhere along the line. And how much do you play him? And do you continue to play him the rest of the way where you really need a healthy Dwayne Wade coming back next season? But let's not forget about the United States team this summer trying to win a gold medal as well.
And McGrady from the top missing. And Dwayne Wade getting the rebound. Speaking of Shawn Marion, he'll be coming back in the game with the next whistle. And driving in is Barron. And committing the foul is Carl Landry, who has done the job, has been impressive as a rookie for the Rockets as well.
They really like this young man, Landry. He's come in and he's got a presence about him. He attacks the basket. And talking to Shane Battier before the game, he said this young man came in and earned his minutes. He's been very impressive.
Earl Barron. This is the first national coverage of the NBA continues this week. Friday on ESPN, it's the Wizards and the Cavs, followed by the Celtics and the Suns. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern. Saturday on NBA TV, it's the Hornets and Spurs from San Antonio, and coverage there begins 8:30 Eastern time. And on ABC Sunday, it's the Pistons and the Suns. Coverage will start at 2 o'clock Eastern.
Coach, could you at least say Ricky Davis is maybe Jermaine Jackson or someone? A little bit talented?
Ricky's got to get a little play. And believe me, Ricky's
can he at least be Jermaine Jackson?
Ricky's name was out there today in those trade discussions because there are people that want a guy who can come in and score points.
And the shot missed by Luther Head and retained by the Rockets, getting a lot of second chances here. Driving in is Scola and the foul. And it's going to be on Alexander Johnson, fouling Louis Scola, driving to the hoop.
Well, Luther Head doing a good job of pump faking Ricky Davis up in the air. You get into the teeth of the defense, and you're throwing to a guy who has good hands. There's Luther Head. He gets into the paint. Scola, known for those good hands, goes in, gets fouled.
And a chance for Scola to open up a 19-point lead for the Rockets. And there is the Louis Scola, as Reggie was talking about. What a presence he's been for Rick Allen.
Well, listening to Coach Adelman, he never gives up on a play. And very much a lot like Anderson Varejao, especially on the pick and roll situation. He says sometimes we're telling him when he shows high on the pick and roll, he can roll back to his man. He thinks he can steal the ball from all the point guards, so he kind of stays in the pick and roll a little bit too long.
Scola misses both free throws. In their earlier meeting this year, the Heat beat the Rockets in Miami 98-91. Shaq had a big game when he was a member of the Heat. And here is Brooks who's come in the game. Aaron Brooks, yet another good-looking rookie, but Rick Allen knows he'll need the bets in that Western Conference playoffs if he makes them. And Scola misses the layup. Scramble for the loose ball taken by Chris Quinn. Good hustle by Quinn. And Shawn Marion, three-point attempt, and the rebound taken down on the other side by Ricky Davis. 3 minutes elapsed here in the second quarter. Here's Marion, double team. And the Rockets leading 44-27. In control here in this first half. Scola open.
Let's not forget where Scola came from to show you what a good job San Antonio's international people do scouting. And the inside layup that time. Tony Parker, Oberto, Scola, part of their, they just had no room for him. So they wound up trading Ginobili, Manu Ginobili, all part of the international group. There's another one.
Brooks. And Landry with the feed, getting it. So Carl Landry gets the basket, 46-29. That's one of the things Pat Riley told us, that they're going to do some international scouting and look there to try to revamp this Miami Heat team. 3-on-1 break. McGrady from Luther Head.
And there was absolutely nothing Quinn could do on that. He saw that there was a 2-on-1 right there. Tracy does a good job of giving the ball up, filling the lane, knowing that it's going to be thrown up in the air where only he can go get it. Luther Head throws it up. T-Mac finishes.
Well, whether it's bad shot selection or poor backcourt coverage, it's a 2-on-1 break. What?
That's a fine.
It's a revenge of Steve Irwin. Stingray.
Man, that's a damn fine.
Stingray.
I don't care what that is. I like the material. It's just the colors, man. What do you think of Craig Sager's suit? What? What do you think of Craig Sager's suit? His outfit that he got on. His suit? Oh. And his shoes?
You know my rookie all-star shoes? Same color.
Those blue ones? Oh, the baby blue? That was terrible.
Rich, you can appreciate this. That means, I think Yao was saying he had shoes just like that in his rookie season. He must have gone to Friedman Shoes in Atlanta. You know that's where all the NBA guys get their shoes from.
I didn't know Stingray was a color. He said this is Stingray. I didn't know Stingray was a color.
Basically, he was egging Yao on. Yao didn't know, and it was all T-Mac show all the way. Steve Novak has
the
come
color
in the
is
game
pistachio.
for the Rockets.
Made out of Stingray. The revenge of Steve Irwin.
Craig, you can kick some long field goals with those shoes, I'll tell you that. Long ones. Here's Quinn. And into the hands of Novak. Biggest lead of the game for the Rockets. They have slowly built it up now to 19 points, 48-29. And a three-point shot missed by Aaron Brooks. Brooks, the rookie from Oregon.
Well, Alaman's been trying to get Novak and Brooks on the floor as Ricky Davis tees up a 20-footer. Been trying to get Brooks and Novak on the floor to see how these rookies are going to do in this environment.
Really, it's been the young guys, Head being one of them, Brooks, Landry. The young guys really have played very well for Houston this season. Some of the veterans struggled, like Mike James, an example, who traded away.
That's why Bobby Jackson, who has played for Rick Adelman before, is going to be 35 next month. He's a veteran that he knows what he can do and has had his best seasons in Sacramento under Adelman.
Well, they like Brooks, and they like the upswing that Brooks is going to bring. But these last 30 or so games and come playoff time, you're going to need a veteran like Bobby Jackson. And it's a guy that Rick Adelman trusts. He understands what he brought when he was in Sacramento, and he trusts what he can do for him come playoff time. The jury is still out on the rookie Aaron Brooks.
Foul was on Luther Head. And Blunt has it blocked by Yao. And 2 on the shot clock. Here is Blunt. And Landry getting the rebound. Yao coming in. 8th in block shots. That's his 2nd of the game. And off the hands of Yao Ming, out of bounds. Goes over to the Heat.
Crowded. Too much congestion right there, too many bodies in a very small space. That's why it goes through. The defense of Houston has been the main factor that's carried him to this streak.
And here are the new players and the players they traded away in 2 separate deals.
Well, like I said, Bobby Jackson is going to bring playoff experience here. He understands Adelman's system, was successful in Sacramento with it. Gerald Green, another wing player, didn't get a lot of time in Boston or Minnesota. Just another player that he can insert in that lane, in that lineup that's athletic, that can guard wings. And they give up on Bonzi Wells, which I think it works both ways when he goes to the Hornets.
And Wells had played well during this 9-game stretch.
Yeah, Bonzi Wells is a player who can explode on a given night. He can get you 12 rebounds in a game. He can give you 20, 25 points in a game. And go back a few years. Remember the great playoff he had under Rick Adelman versus San Antonio a few years back.
Carl Landry giving the Rockets a 19-point lead, matching their biggest advantage. They have dominated the Miami Heat, who have struggled in a big way, and the foul committed by Landry. The Heat have not won a road game since December 10th, when they actually won against the Suns in Phoenix. They have dropped 12 in a row on the road. Dwayne Wade back.
Well, you know, it's funny because talking with Dwayne Wade, he says his team has to find an identity. And we understand that we're more up-tempo, but we're not road runners. They're going to play at a faster pace. Obviously, no Shaq and no Alonzo Mourning. They're much smaller, but they got to find some kind of identity for this team.
Alexander Johnson hits the free throw, and Darrell Wright back in the lineup. Log on to TNT Overtime on NBA.com to check out Michael Bivens' one-on-one chat with Heat superstar Dwayne Wade. TNT Overtime on NBA.com, where you can get TNT NBA Thursday 7 days a week.
Reggie, I think the point you make is so important. The team must know what their style is, what their identity is, and you develop that based on the personnel that you have, then how the coach best utilizes it. See Miami come out, go a little zone in the half-court area against Houston.
Yao inside. Again, good ball movement. And the Rockets, who had 23 assists in their last game against Cleveland. And it's 52-33, under 4.5 to play, first half.
It looks like Houston falls back into some type of matchup zone.
Wade driving in, and Dwayne Wade now getting his first points of the second quarter, leads the Heat with 12.
Coach, I always wondered, how do people drive on a zone? There's no way Dwayne Wade should get to the basket for a lay-in when you're going in a 1-1-3 zone.
Well, the 1-1-3 was supposed to slide into a 2-3 as Novak tees it up, and Rick Adelman mentioned us today, he's as good a shooter as he is. I just got to get him into the games and be able to incorporate him. But going back to the zone, the 1-1-3 slides to a 2-3, but I thought zones are supposed to make you shoot from the outside, not get layups.
20-point lead now for Houston. They continue to add to their margin. And the shot from the corner by Darrell Wright, who is an emerging force in the offensive end, and should flourish in an up-tempo style for Pat Riley.
Well, we had a game with the Heat earlier, and Pat Riley, early in the year, and Pat Riley said he was almost given the small forward spot once Jason Capono and Posey left for other places, and he really didn't have a chance to earn it, and that's why he struggled early as Dwayne Wade comes in.
And is fouled, and limping is, and coming up hobbling is Dwayne Wade, and this has been the problem, and holding on to that knee. You mentioned it, Mike, that you won't see a healthy Dwayne Wade until next year, and you wonder how fast that's going to come for him.
He's a driver, he's a slasher, he's going to initiate contact, and therefore you're going to have your bumps and bruises. Here he collides knees with Shane Battier, who steps in to take the charge. Shane felt he was there in time. The official obviously didn't, but you've got a hobbling Dwayne Wade.
And a timeout, 3:09 remaining in the first half. It's been all Houston driving for their 10th in a row.
We have a lot of guys who are smart team defenders. No one's going to wow you with individual defense or athleticism, but we have a lot of smart basketball players on our team who know how to play a good team game. And when you combine that with guys playing hard on the defensive end, good things happen.
Fourth in scoring defense are the Rockets, second in field goal defense. That's why a lot of teams don't want to play Houston if they make the playoffs in the first round.
Well, in this 9-game streak, 7 games straight holding teams under 90 points. They're getting it done from all areas, and I think the biggest improvement really has been Yao Ming. He's really become that big 7'6" presence that they always envisioned him to be. 8th in block shot. Shane Battier's locking down guys on the perimeter, but you're getting it from Tracy McGrady and Rafer Alston as well.
Wade hits both free throws. And hanging in there despite the knee problems and all of the injuries that he's had to undergo. Tracy McGrady back in the lineup. McGrady feeding out to Yao, picked up by Alexander Johnson. And here's Yao, who beats everyone to the basket.
You saw him that time go to his left hand. This is a very skilled player at 7 feet 6 inches.
18-point lead for the Rockets. Winding down to 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. Here's Wade and a tough basket from the hip. Dwayne Wade with a circus hoop. 16 for Wade. Alston with a runner in the lane. Rafer Alston, 13 for him.
Well, Wade does not look the same on the defensive end. You can tell he's really dragging that leg right there. He couldn't get over on the pick and roll as Marion dumps down the jump hook, but he's really dragging that leg. Rafer Alston, if I'm him, I'm coming off pick and roll every time because Wade can't move.
16-point lead under 2 minutes remaining in the first half. And here's Battier posting up against Darrell Wright. And the rebound by Mark Blount. Looping it into Marion, who's fouled. And a two-shot foul. And Yao Ming picking up his second foul as we check in with Ernie Johnson in Atlanta.
All right, thank you, Dick. Southwest Airlines game break coming up at halftime. I'll be joined by Kenny Charles and David Aldridge. They're going to break down the first half. Later tonight in Game 2 of our Double Dip, the Sonics very busy before the trade deadline are in Portland. Now I go back to Houston. Dick?
All right, EJ and Sean Marion. And one of the aspects about him, and he should figure more offensively, he doesn't demand the ball, but his defensive presence is perfect for Pat Riley.
Well, I think that's going to be the one thing that's going to be missing for the Phoenix Suns. His versatility on the defensive end. He was able to guard point guards all the way down to power forwards, and I think that's what was missing really when you looked at the Suns last night as the dunk by Darrell Wright.
One of the things about Marion, he hurt his finger in his first game with Miami. He re-injured it again in practice recently. So that right hand is very tender, very sore on him right now.
Trying to gamble for the steal against McGrady. And here is Battier for three from the corner. Once again, great passing by the Rockets. They lead at 62-46.
Interesting how they wound up with the rotation that time. His favorite spot on the floor, Shane Battier, the corners, particularly the deep right corner. He knocks that three down on a regular basis.
Rockets 7 of 12 from three-point range. Blunt from the outside. Comes up empty with 40 seconds to go in the first half. McGrady against the double. Pass out from Yao. The three missed by Battier here. And now the Heat with 19 seconds on the shot clock. They've been outplayed by the Rockets, who are sizzling from the field at 62%. And the Heat held to 44% shooting. There you see the numbers. And Wade against the double team. Darrell Wright hitting with 4 seconds to play in the half. And here is Scola, time running out with the runner. And so the Miami Heat, who fell down by 20 points to the Rockets, cutting some of that margin, 62-48. Houston in front. Yao Ming with 12 points. McGrady with 16. Alston with 13.
Talked about the fact, though, that Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady, and Rafer Alston, 18 out of 22. Those three are still shooting 81%. He said the adjustment they'll make here is they're going to zone the pick and roll. They won't play it screw zone, but they're going to be more aggressive on the pick and roll.
All right, Dwayne Wade gets the second half scoring underway. He has 18 points. And now a 12-point margin. It was 20 at one point for the Rockets, so the Heat have made inroads.
That's what you have to do. Chip away at it. You understand the other team comes out, they're smoking hot, making every shot. Hang in there, stick around, and then get a little run yourself, puts you right back in the game.
Yao with the turnaround. So Yao and continues that great scoring that Craig mentioned. by Yao, McGrady, and Alston. He's 7 for 7 from the field. Can't do too much better than that.
Well, he's going to get that shot all night because he can just shoot over Blount anytime he wants, and there's no resistance coming from Blount. He's got to push him out a little bit further.
Wade misses the fall away, and McGrady getting the rebound. Rockets, who have been outstanding off the boards, not so the Heat have only out-rebounded Miami by about 3. And Yao has a deflected. Great play by Marion against the taller Yao Ming.
And we talk about the versatility of Shawn Marion. And this is, like I said, what Phoenix is going to miss. Here's a 6'7" guy coming over and getting the block on a 7'6" guy, giving up his body, going at the top of the peak, blocking the shot. That's the versatility that he's going to bring to the Heat team.
And then Scola committing his second foul. Setting the screen at the top is Marion. Darrell Wright. Scola getting the rebound. Has it knocked away. And the Rockets keep the ball. Good hustle.
And that's Scola not giving up on the play, what Coach Alleman talked about. He never gives up on the play.
And a pass from McGrady to Scola. And he had to thread the needle on that one. And the Rockets up by 16.
In the scramble for the deflected ball, no one picked up Scola under the basket. He's waving by himself. One of his easiest baskets he's going to get.
Off the double team, Blunt from the perimeter. And another rebound by Scola. Scola now with 9 rebounds.
When you get the game down to 14 points, the next basket becomes very big. And who winds up taking the 2 shots? Darrell Wright and Blunt for Miami. I think at that point, maybe you go back to Wade and you go back to Shawn Marion, 2 All-Stars to try and get you closer.
Well, Scola with the loose ball right here doesn't give up on the play. You would think one of those black jerseys would have dove on the floor like Scola. Stays with it. Tracy McGrady finds him for a easy deuce.
Meanwhile, the Heat get it back on good defensive play at the baseline. Wade leaves it out for Jason Williams over the top, and it goes back to Houston. It was down to 12, and the Rockets with the ball leading by 16.
You know, with the changes in the Miami roster, Jason Williams may have to start to become a little more assertive. He may have to be out there trying to drive to the basket and create foul opportunities, as well as he's a very good spot-up shooter, but they need him a little more offensively.
Draper Alston missing the runner, and here come the Heat out again. And the no-look pass from Williams into Blunt, and it's now down to 14 again.
Well, who made that play was Darrell Wright. If he wasn't running that right lane hard, it made the defenders respect him. Blunt does a good job of darting down the middle, wide open dunk.
And this is a new-look Heat team. No longer with Shaq. More up-tempo. Scola working his way in, and the rebound Marion. And the Heat right now can cut it to 12, and Wade can cut it to 11. Gets a basket and the foul, and it's 66-54. Pat Riley's team have lost 9 in a row, and they're battling here.
And you see the court vision of Jason Williams. One, he hits the drag man down the middle of the floor, and then looking across the court, goes from right lane to left lane, and a pretty good finisher, pretty good decision on that one.
Battier picking up his 3rd foul, and Wade with the free throw. He now has 21 points, and it's an 11-point lead.
You know, I was looking at the body language as the halftime ended, and looking at Dwayne Wade. Him and Shawn Marion stayed on the court, gave everyone high fives on their teammates, and those are the little leadership things you want. These guys are 9 and 42, and your 2 superstars are giving all these guys high fives and say, okay, we'll pick it up in the second half.
And those 2 really have established a chemistry in a very short period of time when they're on the floor together. And now the Heat can make it a single-digit game right now with a field goal. Only 4 minutes gone by in the 3rd.
And this is why Alleman said Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat scares them, because if the game is close, Dwayne Wade can win a game himself in the 4th quarter.
And here is Marion for 3, and he's got it! Shawn Marion hits a 3, and now the Miami Heat have come within 8.
When you're in a situation like Miami is, your players eventually, they play with a loose atmosphere, loose attitude towards the game. Things start to become a little easier. They're not pressing as much as a team that's playing for a playoff spot or positioning.
Scola is fouled, and a chance to put an end to the Miami Heat's 8-0 run right now. Will go to the line. And the foul is against Wright.
Well, Jarrell Wright gets into the teeth of the defense, hooks it over his right shoulder to a wide open Marion in the short corner three.
It's an interesting short, snappy shot that he's got there. With those long follow through, you don't see the hand extended, but he makes them.
Scola making 1 out of 2, but gets the ball back.
Coach, did that frustrate you on free throws when you couldn't come up with rebounds as Dwight comes up with the steal?
Throws it away to McGrady, and Yao gets the easy basket. Couple of careless passes there.
The answer is yes. When you don't come up with a rebound off a missed free throw, yes.
5 minutes nearly elapsed here in the third quarter. The Heat making another run, and here is Marion driving in, and it rims the basket and comes off, and Yao with the outlet to McGrady. McGrady has the drive and the foul committed by Dwayne Wade. Tracy McGrady with 16. Yao has 16. And Dwayne Wade, the leading scorer of the game with 21, is T-Mac going to the line to shoot 2.
Well, you know, Tracy was joking earlier about Craig's outfit. You know, there is a serious side to T-Mac as well. This summer he asked me to try to accompany him on a trip to Chad. He was going to Chad. He chartered a plane. He was going over there to build schools for the kids over there. You know, a lot of people like to lend their names or just let people use their names or their likeness. He actually went over there trying to get other NBA players to lend money to try to help out the Darfur region as well. So, you know, there's a serious side to T-Mac as well when it comes to charity work.
And it's a great thing you bring that out, because a lot of times they don't want a lot of publicity about it. And if it weren't for you, Reg, to tell that story, a few people would know. Timeout, 71-58, the Rockets lead here in the third quarter. Game at this point, and Reggie, you talked about it's the little things that count, the scene after the first half on the floor.
Well, people always say, are great leaders born or are they made? They are born. Right here, you see Shawn Marion and Dwayne Wade. They were down significant 16 points, little dap to their teammates. Let's get it going in the second half.
And as a follow-up to that, the two guys that walked out of the locker room together when they came out to warm up to start the second half, Shawn Marion and Dwayne Wade talking to each other.
He'd get it back. And here is Wade inside and puts it through, and it's an 11-point game. The Heat had knocked it down to 8. We have under 6.5 to play here in the third. And it looked like Tracy McGrady holding on to his right leg. Felt some contact on the last play. Nearly halfway through this third quarter. Rafer Alston been quiet for a while, but he's fouled by Jason Williams on the run.
See here on the move right here as Jarrell Wright trying to come off the pick and roll right here. Blunt does a good job of setting the screen. You don't know if that was, he got knee to knee or knee to thigh.
You know, when Shawn Marion joined Miami and went through his first practice, one of his observations was that Pat Riley makes his players wear knee pads, big long knee pads during practice. And that's the reason why, because pick and roll situations like that, you don't want to lose a player in practice getting kneed or banging knees with someone else. So he makes the guys all wear knee pads.
Rafer Alston, who scored 11 of his 14 points in the first quarter. He has been quiet since that first quarter. McGrady and Yao Ming have been the 1-2 punch. No news there as Blunt comes in, and the basket counts and a foul, and a chance again to bring the Miami Heat closer to make it a 9-point game.
One of the more physical, more aggressive moves that I've seen Blunt make. He took the ball right at Yao, drew the contact, and then kept his concentration to finish. Now the chance to complete the 3-point play.
3 fouls for Yao. Battier also 3, and now a 72-63 game.
You know, Miami Heat, they're hanging around here, and this is something that Coach Adelman does not want to see, because if it's close enough, you have a pretty good closer in Dwayne Wade.
McGrady in and out. Yao getting the offensive rebound, and a foul, not a shooting foul, called against Miami.
And probably a pretty good decision by Blunt to foul him while he's on the ground, because I had the feeling Yao was going to be able to finish that one.
So the Rockets will inbound, and Heat normally have played very well in first halves, and then, of course, after a big spurt of the second half, have fallen prey to a lot of teams. This is a different style they've come from way behind here. We're down by 20 at one time. And the foul underneath called against the Heat. McGrady hustling.
And one of the Achilles heels is starting to show itself for the Miami Heat. They're 30th in the league in rebounding right here. Right now, the taller Houston Rocket team, Yao Ming, Scola, and even Tracy McGrady getting in on the act of offensive rebounding for the Rockets.
Blunt with his 4th foul, and the Heat in the penalty now with 5:25 to go in the 3rd. National coverage of the NBA will continue this week. Friday, ESPN, the Wizards and the Cavs, followed by the Celtics and the Suns. Coverage will begin at 7:30 Eastern. Saturday on NBA TV, the Hornets and the Spurs from San Antonio. Coverage of that game begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And on ABC Sunday, it's the Pistons and the Suns. Coverage will begin at 2 o'clock Eastern. So the free throws by Tracy McGrady, who has 20 points now and an 11-point Rocket lead. Open is Barron in the corner, who's come into the game. And Battier with the rebound.
Well, just because you check into the game doesn't mean the first time you get in and the first time you touch the basketball, you should shoot.
McGrady. Darrell Wright crashing the board into the hands of Wade.
That's one of those, but coach, I was wide open, and then your response is, as Wade hits the 3, yes, there's a reason why you're wide open.
It kind of used to bug me. You know, when a guy first checks in, and the first thing he does as soon as he gets the basketball, he shoots it. Like he was ordained to get in and shoot.
And now it's an 8-point lead again. The Heat had narrowed it to 8 earlier in the 3rd quarter. Now with 4.5 to play, it's another 8-point game. Wade with 26, hitting his first 3. And here is Yao, double team, and gets the basket. Yao now with 18 has hit 9 of 10 from the floor.
And one thing you can see, Miami's being much more physical, much more aggressive on their defense versus Yao Ming.
Scola with the steal and tries to save it.
You see the contact? Trying to keep a body against Yao, trying to force him out just a little bit farther away so he doesn't get that clean look. And then the late double team still doesn't have the effect that the Heat want. Yao with another score.
And the Heat maintain possession.
Darrell Marty
and Barron. Well, the reason why Reggie's asking Marty Aronoff, our statistician, if he's all right, Dwayne Wade came over to the table, crashed in, and of course we have a computer here, like an internet, and we'll show you what that looks like. Dwayne Wade came over and started to write on the internet as if he was sending a message. And here's the way this looked. Here's Dwayne Wade coming over, and then there's the internet. He had a little email that he wanted to send, I guess.
Robbie's calling for help.
Yeah,
Send
help.
Send help.
SOS, please. Mr. Aronson, I need some help, please.
So Barron is on the line. Earl Barron, who's played in Turkey and the Philippines in his 3rd year. And it's 76-68. Under 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter as the Miami Heat, not playing at all like a 9-42 team here in the second half. Scola fouled as he drives inside.
And the second line of defense is really losing Luis Scola behind. He's getting wide open looks from passes from Tracy McGrady at 6'8". Being able to see over the defense, the Heat losing Scola in the second line of defense.
Scola now 2 of 5 from the line. The foul was on Barron.
When you have a guy who knows how to play the game, I know it's a statement that's always used, yeah, that guy really knows the game. But that's what Scola does. He winds up in the right spot. He moves to the opening. He understands where the next logical pass is going to go.
Played with the Argentine Olympic gold medal team. Blocked out of bounds and goes over to the Rockets. Dwayne Wade with a couple of words from Ed Malloy. Crowd looking for a technical from Wade. Obviously upset with that call.
You know what? I like what Ed Malloy did.
Me too.
He did not hit him with a tight. He did not react to the crowd. He understood, hey, maybe it was a questionable call. And Wade didn't do anything to show him up. He's just frustrated.
And Darrell Wright does not go for the up fake by T-Mac. Chest to chest with him here. McGrady inside. Landry gets the basket. Good feed from T-Mac, who, by the way, had 8 assists against Cleveland, and distributing the ball. He has 8 tonight as well. And Wade comes back, and the tip is missed. Inside by Barron, and a jump ball. Wright and Battier battling for the loose ball. And the crowd loving it. Great hustle by both teams here in the latter stages of the third quarter.
Well, you like the intensity has been raised from both levels of the Heat and the Rockets. You see right here, he has a question for referee Ed Malloy right here, and kind of holds onto the ball right here. And then Darrell Wright gets caught with Shane Battier. You know what? 30 games left. Houston, 9-game winning streak. The Heat, 9-game losing streak.
Players jockeying for position. The official's going to split the difference and make them get their legs off each other.
And Barron and Scola and Barron going at it.
And this is the right call by Malloy. He's going to give a double technical, one to Barron and one to Scola. He told him to knock it off before. Right here, he walks in and tells him to knock it off. Barron wants the position. I don't know what Scola did to receive that technical. That was really Barron doing most of the initiating.
And Sean Marion winds up with it. And we're going to have a foul against Rafer Alston, reaching in, and both teams over the limit. So with 3:01 to go, Marion going to the line and a chance to bring the Heat to within 10.
You know, it's going back to your statement. You don't know what Scola did. Officials sense when the game is heating up, and they sense when the physicalness of the game is going to a new level. And perhaps at that time, the double technical foul was to kind of try to settle things down and get both these teams back to playing good basketball and cut out the unnecessary physical contact.
There's Marion with 11 points on 4 for 10 shooting. Makes 1 out of 2 from the line, and it's 80-69. The Rockets under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
Yeah, but he's only 1 of 5 from the free throw line. Really struggling. We don't know if that finger is affecting him.
And T-Mac is fouled, and we'll have a timeout. He'll go to the line to shoot when we return as the Rockets lead by 11.
And obviously, Phoenix, with a franchise over the last 3 seasons that have won, 55-plus games. Now you take a chance by doing these, dramatic deals. It could tear the franchise apart, and you may have to start over again at some point.
I may invest my money with you here. You seem to know the high risk, low risk. I like that. All right, here are the recent additions, and very impressive names amongst them. You mentioned Kyle Korver, Kurt Thomas going to San Antonio. And Damon Stoudemire.
That would be low risk for Kurt Thomas.
As would Chris Webber be for Golden State, right?
I'm really surprised no one's talking about Kyle Korver. I know the big Shaquille O'Neal and Pau Gasol, but Kyle Korver in Utah is playing fantastic.
And the basket good, and the foul. So Sean Marion now with 14 points. And a chance to make it less than a 10-point deficit. Houston Rockets scored 41 points. Season's high for them for a quarter in the opening stanza, but only a total of 40 in the last 2. So Pat Riley's Miami Heat team trying to make a drive here in the latter stages of the third and into the fourth. But Marion misses the free throw.
There's another missed free throw for Marion, just 2 for 7. Coming into tonight's game, he was 8 for 9 since he's joined the Heat, 89% from the floor. Now he makes only 2 out of 7 this evening.
Yeah, but he's only 72% on the year coming in. That means combined with Phoenix, so he has had his troubles from the line.
After Alston's miss from 3, Dwayne Wade back with the ball. Wade's been the leading scorer in the game. Darrell Wright, high arcing shot, and here is Rafer Alston challenging Marion. Goes out to McGrady, inside out, and the three-point doesn't go. Batting it out, and the Rockets maintain possession. Under 2 minutes to go in the third. And here's T-Mac. changes hands and scores. First field goal in the quarter after missing his first 5.
When you close out on the three-point line, you have to close out, but still understand that the player may show the ball, fake, and put it on the floor. So you have to close out and be able to stay in your stance and still try and square the man up, not just get beat off the dribble and give up layups.
And here's Wade, and Barron trying to keep it alive. Barron chips it in. Good. Great hustle off the boards by Earl Barron, and it's a 10-point lead. We mentioned McGrady with 23 and Wade with 26 are the high scores for their team.
And I'm going to tell you this, Barron learned that from Alonzo Mourning. All those practices as Sola goes over the top of Jason Williams for the offensive foul. Barron learning that tip drill from Alonzo Mourning, who is hurt for the Miami Heat. Those are what those practices that Pat Riley teaches, keeping the ball alive,
You talk about closeout. Watch the defensive player now run at the shooter to try and take him off the three-point line. But when he shows the ball, here he runs at him, you just can't let him go by and have a clear path to the basket. Closeout in a stance.
You mentioned Alonzo Mourning, and of course, that situation with the knee and quad surgery really changed things for Pat Riley from what he intended, as Marion yet misses another free throw, 2 for 8.
6 free throws. This is something that's it's not like Sean Marion to go to the free throw line and struggle this much. We talked about the finger. Maybe he's gripping the ball differently, Coach.
Could be. Maybe only 4 fingers on the ball instead of all 5, right? Maybe taking that finger off.
9-point game with under a minute to go. Tell you, the Miami Heat really showing well here in this third quarter, and an open jumper by Shane Battier, and it's 85-74. Miami Heat, who have lost 24 of 25 games. Their only win was against the Indiana Pacers after they had dropped 15 straight. In and out for Ricky Davis. And now, 6-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock.
I can't believe this team has lost 24 of 25 games, especially being in the Eastern Conference. You think they would luck into a win sooner or later?
Alston off the mark. Landry gets the offensive rebound and the foul. Anticipating it, and there you see one of the aspects of Carl Landry's plays, who knows how to finish. Out of Purdue.
Very aggressive, goes after the ball, very physical on the glass. One of the talented youngsters that they've discovered here by giving him playing time early on.
Carl Landry. The NBA on TNT continues. Coming up next, it's the second game of our doubleheader between the Sonics and the Blazers, followed by Inside the NBA with Ernie, Kenny, and Charles with tonight's highlights, and David Aldridge, who will have the latest on the massive trades that took place down the stretch. And we had maybe the greatest trading flurry in years in the NBA this year. And the two-point shot, the foul. It's a two-point attempt, and Wade will go to the line with 0.2 of a second left.
You never want to foul in a situation like that. You just try to contest, get your hands up.
And not aware of the clock.
Well, that player was right there. As you saw him look up at the shot clock.
Because you mentioned that not only was it a flurry of trades, but the magnitude of the players that were involved in the trades. Big name players.
Frontliners all the way, yes. And that only adds to the excitement for the rest of the year, and of course the playoffs as well. Many of it settling in the West. And of course the Cavaliers with the big trade today themselves. That is the end of the third quarter, with the Rockets leading the Heat 87-75, and a good third quarter by Miami.
Point lead over a team that's lost 9 in a row. How comfortable does that make you feel?
Well, I don't think about them losing 9 in a row. I mean, if they're playing a good game, I mean, don't worry about that. We just have to play better. We got to keep them off the line.
You made a couple of trades today that will help you down the stretch, but leaves you short-handed tonight. How does that affect your rotation?
I think we're fine. I'm not worried about that. We're playing the people who would have played probably anyway. Okay.
You know, Mike, you look at Rick Adelman, and you want to talk about a coach who has had some great years falling under the radar. He'd be number one almost.
Yeah, I felt that this gentleman has never received really the credit that he should have. 17 years as a head coach, 6 in Portland. They reached the finals twice, a brief stint in Golden State for 2 years, then 8 straight years in the playoffs in Sacramento, and here he comes to Houston. And one of my former assistants, Eric Musselman, wound up taking the job in Sacramento. Eric, a very good basketball man, and I just mentioned to him, he said, what do you think? And I said, you're following a guy who did a great job. Remember that. It's not going to be easy going there.
Aaron picking up his second foul. Marcus Banks, seeing his first action, came over with Sean Marion in the deal with Shaquille O'Neal with Phoenix. Alston hitting the shot.
You know, defensively, I think Marcus Banks really could put a fingerprint on this game because of his defensive prowess. He needs to really get into Rafer Alston. He can change the complexity if he gets after him.
Wade with a pump and a basket. Dwayne Wade now with 29 points. And the Rockets up by 12. Twice the Heat have cut it to 8 points in that third quarter. And there is Yao and Barron trying to get position inside. Landry goes up, and he's fouled. Good pass that time by Rafer Alston as Wade committing the foul.
You know, like I said, Banks is going to have to get into Rafer Alston and make him go a little bit wider on this pick and roll right here. He comes off right here, clean look at the basket. You've got to kind of disrupt the offense, and that's what Banks is on the floor to do.
And you mentioned the key word is get into. You have to get up and into it so that when you do get the screen coming up against your body, you're not that far behind like he was. Actually, Banks ran into his own defensive player, therefore could not catch up to the shooter. If you're closer than that, you can catch up and challenge a shot.
Landry with 8 points. And there you see how he has raised his game.
Well, he got the opportunity after the beginning, November, December, didn't play him very much. The head coach is playing his vets, trying to get a feel for the team. And then as he watched them practice every day, all of a sudden you see his games go from 3 games in 2 months to 9 the next month and 8 the next month.
Drafted in the second round by the Sonics and traded to the Rockets.
Started off at Vincennes, then went to Purdue University, had a fantastic senior year at Purdue, put up big numbers on the offensive end, but more importantly, was solid defensively and rebounding for the Boilermakers.
9 points off the bench for Landry. 90-77, the Rockets lead. Alston trying to knock it away from Banks from behind. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Turnaround by Davis, and he's got it. Ricky Davis with the turnaround. He has 6 off the bench. Rockets by 11.
That's a good job getting into the defense right there. Fade away right when Yao was going up to contest.
And Luther Head is in there with Alston. And Yao, spinning his way in, draws the foul and will shoot 2.
One of the things that we heard Rick Adelman tell us earlier was that he noticed Yao was so used to getting into the low post area, so used to getting the physical contact, and we see the tough turnaround by Davis, fade away over the top of Yao. That he felt actually that Yao was getting worn down by the physical contact, play after play in the low post. So it's one of the reasons why Rick moved him up to the high post area occasionally to get him out of that banging type of situation.
This is Yao's first trip to the free throw line, believe it or not, in this game. And he makes 1 out of 2, 85% free throw shooter, and had a great streak of 35 in a row at one time this year. Nearly 2 minutes elapsed here in the fourth as Dwayne Wade hits another 31 for Wade. Marion with 15, the 2 members of the Heat in double figures.
Well, also, too, Coach, you talk about Yao Ming going up to the high post. Think about some of the centers that Rick Adelman has had. Arvydas Sabonis, Vlade Divac, and now Yao. You got to be able to be a good passer if you're going to be in this system. I think that's another reason why he moves him up. He goes up in assists this year. In Alleman's system, the center has to be able to pass the basketball.
9 on the shot clock. Alston coming off the screen, missing the 3, and here comes Marion. Rockets getting back on defense. Stock and trade is their defensive play, and Dwayne Wade missing from atop. So it remains a 10-point game with plenty of time remaining. At one time, the Heat were down 55 to 35, and they have come back from that 20-point deficit. Gambling for the steal and making it is Banks. Good play by Banks. Lead to Marion, and the 2 stars now of the Miami Heat again make it an 8-point game.
I'd say that was a pretty easy decision for Dwayne Wade. You see Sean Marion on the other side of the rim. Just throw it in the vicinity of the glass. He's going to find it and finish it. Wade to Marion.
Very busy weekend for Yao Ming in New Orleans. The NBA, where caring happens.
All right, Craig, Yao Ming, 9 of 10 from the field, 8 rebounds, and 19 points. Tracy McGrady with 23. He has the ball now. 4 players in double figures for the Rockets. And McGrady, long range with Darrell Wright defending it well and trying to save it, and doing a good job of it is Landry, once again, making a contribution.
You can't give up opportunities like this if you've been struggling like the Miami Heat. You need possession.
Miami trailing by 8 for the 4th time, and then the Rockets get the basket as Landry with 11 tonight off the bench.
And you see why Landry has taken the minutes of Hayes. He's 3 inches bigger, and he's much more of an offensive threat than Hayes was.
And T-Mac with 9 assists, making it all happen. 8 on the shot clock. Barron from the baseline, so the big guy firing from outside. Tracy McGrady.
Did a light go off that said he had to shoot that time? I mean, how about like one more pass maybe? Somebody else might have a better shot.
Double team on McGrady, yelling for the foul. Landry is open. And the offensive rebound by Luther Head, and he goes over to the Heat.
And second shot opportunities right here. T-Mac looking over the defense, finding a wide open Carl Landry. You know, you get the lead down to 8, the deficit down to 8, and the ill-advised 3 by Tracy McGrady. You got to come up with that, a chance to cut the lead into 6 to get a second opportunity. A wide open dunk by Landry, back up to 10.
And Dwayne Wade hitting the shot off of the screen, and again it's an 8-point lead. And Mike, I think Pat Riley had the same thoughts you did, because Mark Blunt immediately came in for Barron on the next dead ball.
Yeah, he'll think about that shot next time.
And the jumper by Landry. Landry getting free, and now 13 points for Landry, who is 5 for 7 from the field.
Well, it's always a premium when your big men can spread the floor and make wide open shots. When you've got players like Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming, you're going to get a lot of them.
Luther Head with the steal from Banks, going up, and Banks committing the foul. So quickness by Luther Head and a careless turnover by Banks.
And what Miami did is they came right back to the same play that they had run before, the double screen away, but they jumped the passing lane, and that's it.
Well, Reggie mentioned Vincennes University. Bob McAdoo played a couple of years. Sean Marion played 2 years there before transferring to UNLV. And, of course, Carl Landry played 2 seasons before transferring to Purdue. So Vincennes University, a big basketball capital out of Indiana. There's Bob McAdoo, assistant coach for Pat Riley.
Well, we were talking about big trades over the years. What about the Lakers acquiring Bob McAdoo? I believe it was in 81. Came off the bench for them to win a championship. I think the trade was in December. Former MVP. I think they beat the Philadelphia 76ers in the finals that year.
And a great scoring machine.
Great scoring machine off the bench for the Lakers. Can you believe that? Bob McAdoo coming off the bench.
And how about the fact that he was still winning a lot of money in the Heat practices a year or two ago in shooting games. After practice was over, he was taking a lot of that per diem from the players. He can still fill it up.
Rockets maintain possession. And the Heat had an opportunity there, another chance. Soon time is going to become a factor. Not yet, but it will be for the Heat. Good ball movement, and Landry, Carl Landry, now with 15 points. And 11 coming in the second half. And a timeout. 13-point lead, Landry, after the Heat had narrowed to 8. T-Mac with 10 assists made it happen to Landry. We'll be back.
Selfishness of this Houston team. The extra pass, put it down, pass it one more time, and then you think you're going to the hoop for a score. No, one more pass and the finish for the Rockets. 37 field goals, 28 assists for Houston.
And Landry has 3 baskets in under 2 minutes, 2 dunks, and a jump shot. And here is Banks for 3 hitting. So Banks, who is coming to the game for the first time in the fourth quarter. Marcus Banks, first points of the game, and it's a 10-point affair.
So look at the casualness on defense for Marcus Banks. He needs to be pressuring Rafer Alston, picking him up 3/4 court, turning him a few times, taking time off the clock.
Well, that's the area he has to improve his game. No question about it. Nearly making the steal was Darrell Wright. Luther Head hitting the 3. So the gamble backfires on the Heat, and Luther Head hits a 3.
And that was fake hustle by Darrell Wright right there. He got a hand or deflected the ball. He didn't need to go for the steal. There was no way he was going to come over with it. He gets out of the play, makes a wide open shot for Luther Head.
And McGrady gets a hand on that pass by Darrell Wright. Last touch by the Rockets with 11 on the clock.
So what could have been an 8-point game if he did come up with it when he got his arm in there and got the deflection, winds up now of being an 11, 12, 13-point difference.
Fake hustle right there. You got a hand on the ball. Yeah, you go out there towards it, but you just go out there in a defensive effort. You try to go for the steal. You have no shot at it.
Here's Dwayne Wade into the corner, and Wright over Luther Head. 2-point field goal, and it's 101-90. Heat trying to hang in there, have never led in this game, and the Rockets were up by as many as 20.
Miami's hanging around just close enough that they get 2 or 3 stops in a row and make scores at the other end. We've got an interesting game down the stretch.
T-Mac looking in for Landry. And here's Austin. 3-point attempt doesn't go, and Yao taps it out. And a new clock for the Rockets.
There's the rebound you talked about, Reggie. Miami struggles on the glass.
Landry and Darrell Wright ties them up, and they'll have a jump. So Wright and Landry will jump it up.
Alaman's going to have to think about playing this kid Landry a little bit more. I know how much Scola has meant since he's been inserted into the starting lineup, 9-1 since Scola's been in there. But Landry is so active. He can make down wide open shots. He's quick off his feet. He rebounds.
And that's part of the reason why Bonzi Wells is no longer in uniform here, because he's watching the emergence of these two guys, and he has to get a minute.
Landry averaging 15 minutes a game, and you saw the 3-point basket was the first in the second half for the Rockets. Here's Austin. Will try to make another one. And the hustle. Austin wins the race to the loose ball. Out to Battier. He'll go for 3 and hit it. Shane Battier with his second 3 of the game, and the lead is 14 for the Rockets.
Back-to-back offensive rebounds for the Rockets. You give Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady, and you see Shane Battier, the beneficiary of a 3-pointer.
And nearly the steal by Austin, and the ball knocked away by Landry, now into the hands of the Heat. Rockets nearly got it back again. Here's Marion. No good on the 3. As we wind down to 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, the Rockets with a 14-point lead in the ball and no hurry.
Coach, it must have been a luxury to coach Shane Battier. You see how he sacrifices diving on the floor as Tracy McGrady laces up.
He is the most professional player that I have dealt with. This guy put in all kinds of extra time as Ricky Davis hits a 3. talk about a guy who went to our video coordinator and wanted a disc made of all of his opponents. He would take it home with him game day, study it in the afternoon, and come back again, just kind of reinforcement along with the scouting report. The extra time he was spending in improving his range on his shot to be a three-point threat, and the ultimate team player defensively.
Battier from the corner, and once again the Rockets, and they have 30 assists in this game, leading 106-93. Under 3.5 to go in the fourth. And the shot is missed outside. And right now, let's send it to Ernie Johnson in our studios in Atlanta. EJ.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Southwest Airlines game break. We want to take you to the closing seconds live at Target Center, where the San Antonio Spurs trailed the Minnesota Timberwolves 99-98. It was Al Jefferson with a three-point play with about 39 seconds to go that gave them the lead, 99-90.
Watching TNT NBA Thursday, presented by the United States Marine Corps. So the San Antonio Spurs victorious, and when people talking about all the trades and who's going to win in the West, somehow San Antonio is an afterthought to many people.
Well, people forget that they're the ring bearers, and at the end of the day, I think you're going to have to go through Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, as Yao Ming knocks down another one, and a healthy Tony Parker.
The only thing I wonder is, will they still have that three-point threat? Giving up Barry in the trade. Yes, they picked up two very valuable pieces. Damon Stoudemire, obviously to back up Tony Parker, and then a terrific pickup in Kurt Thomas. But they had to give up Barry, who was part of that three-point assault for San Antonio.
Somehow the Spurs always make the key stops, though, on defense against the higher-scoring teams when they need it. And the Rockets playing as well as they had to tonight against the Miami Heat. 4 times the Heat had cut the deficit to 8 points but couldn't sustain. They did come back from a 20-point deficit. Landry, and what a night for the role players, including Carl Landry, who has 17 points, 5 short of a season's high. And there's Sean Marion, way off the mark. And Ricky Davis fouled as he gets the rebound.
I'm telling you, this kid is quick off his feet right here. Bounce pass into him, and it's almost like a double clutch dunk right here. He goes up, brings it back down, similar to what your former player Dominique Wilkins used to do. Get in that lane and double clutch and go up and dunk it.
Now wait a minute. Landry's got a ways to go before you got to mention his name in the same breath as Dominique Wilkins. Okay?
Double clutch. Not he is like Dominique Wilkins, but he double clutch.
I want to straighten that out. He's got a ways to go to get Dominique.
Marion goes to the bench, 18 points, struggled from the free throw line. Landry, see his numbers. And Dwayne Wade's going out. There is Marion, who had problems at the free throw line. Only 4 of 11, and Dwayne Wade with 33 points and 11 assists.
See, Reg, Rick Adelman heard what you said about. I think I heard too. You didn't want Luis Scola to play anymore. You wanted Landry to take all his minutes. So here now he plays both of them together to solve the mystery that you had created.
Marcus Banks and Davis inside to Blunt, and it's 110-96. And the Rockets up by 14 points, but they've had to really scramble in the fourth quarter here to keep the Miami Heat at bay. But it's going to be a familiar refrain for the Heat. They'll go down to their 10th straight loss and 25 of their last 26 games.
Well, and speaking with Pat Riley before the game, we asked him the motivation, because we know how much he likes to cross the T's and dot the I's. He's very well prepared. He's very orthodox when it comes to his game preparation. What is Pat Riley thinking each night he steps in to the arena? What is he going to say to his players, to his assistant coaches, his game plans? He makes sure everyone's in the right places. This has to be very tough for a guy of his magnitude that's won as many championships as he has to go through something like this.
Well, he is constantly searching, and that's it. It's a very good point you make. His day, part of it is occupied with trying to think of what am I going to say tonight to this team to get them to continue to play hard all the time and get better as a group so that I can evaluate who will be back here with us next year.
Tell you what, the Miami Heat played hard. They were down by 20 on the road, and they'll go down to their 13th straight road loss. Battled back, but the Houston Rockets will win their 5th in a row at home, and that's one of the goals for Rick Adelman, as we mentioned, become more of a force at home. They're going to have to be able to win at home in what has been a tremendous battle and will be down the stretch in the Western playoff race.
Red, just a little tidbit for our viewers at home. The trade was done. Bobby Jackson from New Orleans comes here to Houston. Bonzi Wells from Houston goes to New Orleans. Guess who Houston plays tomorrow night, Reg?
Let me guess. New Orleans.
Isn't that amazing?
So they'll be able to use the team flights so the guys don't have to go commercial.
Craig, we just got a glimpse of Dikembe Mutombo on the Rocket bench.
Well, earlier Mike had mentioned Shane Battier, most professional player to ever coach. Dikembe Mutombo has that reputation as well. But today at the shoot-around, I was watching, and it was halfway over, and Dikembe Mutombo came in. He was late. They had moved up shoot-around a half hour with the early start. The first time in his 16 years he was late for a practice or a shoot-around. He was fined $500. Coach Adelman said he was so distraught he hated to fine him. But Dikembe said, hey, I got to donate the money. I was late. First time in 16 years.
Wow.
He's laughing about it.
Such a humanitarian.
Yes.
I mean, going to give up the $500. 16 years and never to be late. That says something to a lot of these young guys that are in the league right now. Look at the professionalism that he exudes night in and night out.
He should get $500 just for that. That he wasn't late. There is Novak missing. And the final seconds of this game. But the Houston Rockets, who had held their last 7 opponents to under 90 points, Miami gets 100 tonight, but will come up short. And the Houston Rockets, with 6 players in double figures, defeat the Miami Heat 112-100, their 10th straight win. Make it 19 of their last 22 to go 34-20 on the year. Right now they're in the 7th position in the tight battle